Muchas gracias por estar con nosotros aún en nuestra transmisión del día miércoles 6 de octubre, de este segundo triple encuentro histórico de derecho ambiental, donde FIDA, el Foro Internacional de Derecho Ambiental, EIDA, el Encuentro Internacional de Derecho Ambiental, y COPLADA, el Congreso Planetario de Derecho Ambiental, se han unido para brindarnos este académico congreso en el cual los expositores son tan talentosos y prestigiosos que no se pueden perder ni un segundo en nuestras mesas. Gracias por estar con nosotros en esta transmisión a esta última hora de la noche. En esta última hora tenemos la segunda mesa internacional de este segundo triple encuentro histórico de derecho ambiental. Es una modalidad en el idioma inglés. Les pido que se queden con nosotros en nuestros canales de YouTube y Facebook, la Liga Mundial de Abogados Ambientalistas. Pueden poner y traducir a través de sus aplicaciones apretando el botón de traducción en idioma español o el que deseen. Thank you and welcome once again for our second international table of this day. Oh yes, here we are at this time, at this hour. Thank you for sharing your time with us. Thank you for letting us bring us wisdom and educate you and being aware what is going on around the world with this second encounter of environmental law, where FIDA, the International Forum of Environmental Law, EIDA, the International Encounter of Environmental Law, and COPLADA, the Planetarium Congress of Environmental Law, bring us all together with special guest speakers around the world, prestigious, talented from every single university around the world, to give you what you need to know for your life and for the life of your community, your country, and all the planet. This time, in this second international panel, we are having a special guest speaker, so talented, so skilled. His name is Mr. Joshua May. He is the co-CEO of New Paradigm Energy. Hi, Joshua, how are you?
Hello, Carrie. I'm doing fantastic. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for saying yes. Thank you. I'm going to tell a little secret. We're going to have the table, and electricity power again was off in New Hampshire. Hey, how are you there in New Hampshire? Yes, you. Okay, we have no power, but Joshua is so kind that he is in his car bringing this presentation to your audience, to this audience that we have in this amazing academic congress. So thank you so much, Joshua, for this.
Absolutely. Sitting in my electric Jeep, Carrie.
I don't want to get in politics right now because I will. So yeah, so this topic that we're having in this second international table, it's one that I debate and I discuss with my friends, with my family, with everyone around me, just in dinner tables, in lunch, in brunch, and Joshua knows about it. It's about space exploration. Yes, space exploration. Why do we invest in Mars? Why do governments, why do nations invest in another planet when this planet Earth is not so good? Okay, let me see. It's awful. So yeah. What this means for the benefits to fight against climate change? Space exploration has benefits to fight against climate change? We're having this exposition from this expert that we have here, Mr. Joshua. Mr. Joshua, please, I'm going to introduce to you who you are to the audience, okay? Okay. Joshua is a graduate of the University of Massachusetts, Boston, and a veteran of the United States Army, an Army National Guard, where he served as an NCO and then as an officer. He is a successful entrepreneur, and throughout his career, he has co-founded, and led businesses in the technology, renewable energy, aerospace, and sustainability sectors. He launched ReVenture in 2014, and the company now offers sustainability, renewable energy, coaching, advising, and accelerator services for promising clean tech and sustainability organizations. That work led to the founding of a unified energy generation company named New Paradigm Energy in 2018. Their portfolio currently includes clients ranging from medium-large businesses to municipalities and state, province-level projects. In 2016, he advised and worked closely with the Daring Mars One program. While that mission ultimately failed due to high costs and lack of funding, it captured the imagination of millions and really brought the conversation about Mars to the forefront. Yes, the planet Mars. Our 100 Mars One astronaut candidates are still involved in a number of other civilian space programs today. Finally, Joshua has served as a climate reality leader since 2015, and in March of 2017, he received the Green Ring Award in recognition of outstanding work towards solving the climate crisis from former Vice President and Nobel laureate Al Gore. You're so amazing, Joshua. I admire you so much. For real, I admire you so much, and I give God a blessing for your life. Thank you. Thank you for everything you do. You did, and I always say this. I know that I'm repetitive, but I love to say it.
Carrie, thank you so much. I'll tell you that the feeling is 100% mutual.
Thank you. So now that I was kind, I'm going to go deep with you.
Good. I'm ready.
Are you ready? The audience is ready. Please send us your questions about Mars. Send us your questions about this planet that we are investing as human beings and nobody is there. I wouldn't even know if we can live there. Okay, can we live in Mars? Okay, just let's start like this, okay? Just tell me, why Mars?
Okay, so first, Carrie, what I would love to say is I'm not here to claim that I am an aerospace scientist or a climate scientist. I'm not here to say that I'm an expert on environmental law or space law. I am an entrepreneur, as you know, and I am an adventurist, and I'm also an activist. My entire career has been in renewable energy and climate change. That's not going to change, even when I do myself get to space one day. But what I worry about sometimes is that there are two issues that concern all of us deeply here tonight that I think affect the discussion around space exploration. The first, of course, is climate change and the emergency that that poses, and how most of our nations, or many of our nations, I shouldn't say most, many of our nations are not taking it as seriously as they need to for us to take care of that problem. And then secondly is the issue of income inequality. And so we look right now at the people that are getting all the notoriety in space, the Jeff Bezoses of the world and the Sir Richard Bransons and SpaceX and Elon Musk. And I think those names and that wealth wraps into this issue, and it takes us away from two things that I think are very important about what we are doing in space exploration. One is the amount of tech.
You're muted, yeah.
Come across. Whoop. Can you hear me?
Yes, the amount of.
Yeah, the number of solutions to problems and scientific breakthroughs that have happened because of just the small number of missions that we've run to space at this time. And then secondly, what the type of inspiration, the type of necessity of all of us working together to be able to get out there and to explore beyond our atmosphere is something that it's going to take all of us. It's not something that we can do one individual, one nation, even one billionaire. So I look at it as the opportunity to, during a time when we're all really feeling down and really feeling anxiety and concern about these problems that swirl around us, that this could be something that actually lifts us up, inspires us, and pushes us on to bigger and better things that will help us right here on Earth. And the last thing I'll say as an intro, because I don't think I've entirely answered your question.
No, but let me ask you something that I am intrigued about.
Sure.
When I read your bio, you were like in Mars One program, right?
Yep. Yes.
Okay, so let me ask you this. The atmosphere over there is different from what we have?
Yes.
It's a clean atmosphere. I can discern that. Because there's no humans. Oh my God.
Right.
Right?
Yep.
It's a clean atmosphere. So it has nothing to do with Earth. It's totally different, although we're in the same universe, right? We have two planets with one global warming, expecting just to 1.5 or more fuel
Mhm.
fossil emissions or more, and one planet that we are exploiting and has clean atmosphere, clean energy. And can we live there? I mean, can we be part of Mars?
That's one of the challenges and one of the questions, right? And I think the best way that I frame the way that I look at this debate is one of my heroes, Stephen Hawking. And one of the last things that he wrote about and talked about before his passing was that he did not think that the human race could survive the next 1,000 years without spreading into space. And his thought pattern behind that was that there are too many accidents that can befall life on a single planet. But as an optimist, he knew that we would reach for the stars and we would have the ability to find ways to survive and thrive in other places and other atmospheres. And just to give you, I'm going to talk about some of the positives that have come to climate change adaptation and mitigation through the space program. But one that's specific to Mars is there are some scientists right now that have been working on taking the CO2 that is in the atmosphere of Mars and actually turning that, making it so that it is reused as rocket fuel, used as the process of producing water. And this is a technology that will have application here on Earth as we face droughts, as we figure out. I'm not a huge fan of carbon capture, but maybe there is an opportunity to do some carbon capture and help us lower CO2 in a storage kind of capacity. So that is why I think shooting for these large goals is important. And you're absolutely right. We have to learn the lessons of what we've done right here on Earth if we're going to go off onto other planets, other environments. And if we're going to get way out there and talk about the potential of crossing paths with other species and life someday, we need to be cognizant of the fact that to this point we have not been good shepherds of our own environment.
Yes, totally. But um, shouldn't we invest first on Earth and solve every single hunger, poverty, like all the SDGs, from United Nations that already? I mean, shouldn't we invest in here to solve what we need to solve for the humans and humanity instead of investing on space on a planet that is totally clean, but we don't know anything about it. I mean, we don't know if we can survive. We don't know if the pressure, if the breathing, if we can eat, what we're going to eat. I mean, we're investing in something, experimenting in something, somewhere, in some place that we don't even know about it.
I,
But we
I
know that if we invest in Earth, we can maybe save children, we can maybe save women, we can maybe save families,
mhm.
why do
Yes.
we invest in space?
Well, so I think we have to explore what do we mean by we. So if we're looking at nation states and we're looking at the really poor job that we're doing so far on the sustainable development goals that the United Nations has brought up, and women are still suffering, children are still suffering, poverty is a huge issue. We're starting to see famine, we're starting to see loss of water resources, which is probably going to lead to a lot of conflict in the next 20 years. Absolutely. There's all sorts of things that we need to tackle. And let's be honest, we're not doing that right now. We still have leaders that have their heads in the sand that want to continue down the path towards economic prosperity. They don't want to disrupt that process. And that's part of the paradigm that we need to change right here on Earth, in my opinion. But I also believe that from the very first time that we figured out how to light fire, and that allowed us to explore the night, and that allowed us to explore beyond our forest, and then eventually build ships and explore another shore and find other routes to other peoples around the world. As human beings, we have an incessant desire to explore and to learn and to discover. And that's how I look at space, is basically the continued exploration gene of human nature.
Yes, it is. It is. And also not solving crisis. But we have an expertise in that, you know, like you're so right. We are all fighting for that, like including this Congress is getting awareness, getting education, saying instead of like stating our opinions, just listening to the experts, just listening to the experience that they have in the sessions and in the spaces that we don't know what we are saying and doing. So does the space has climate change issues? I know it's a clean air, but what about the surroundings of Mars? I mean, it's the universe, you know, like God created everything for us, you know, for his children. So what about those issues?
So, I mean, if we look at the definition of climate change, how most of us look at it, which is man-made carbon dioxide, created warming, then no, there's no other planets that we know of that are experiencing climate change. But when you specifically look at Mars, for instance, there was a time many millions of years ago that there were oceans, there were running streams. We're assuming because that was the case that there was some sort of life. And one of the theories is that a solar storm came along and literally peeled away an atmosphere that is even thinner than our own. And so, yes, Mars at one point, experienced a drastic climate change that brought it to the place that it is today, where, according to what we've discovered and what we understand at this time, is a lifeless planet as we would know it. So there's not, I don't really see, in the early stages, the first missions, the first possible outpost that's there, where there would be a human impact that would significantly degrade the current Martian atmosphere, for instance. But I also think that we're going to leapfrog there. I don't think it's going to be a direct route. I think we're going to start off with a facility on the moon, and we're going to be testing a lot of the theories and ideas behind being able to live in a low gravity atmosphere, and the lessons that we'll learn there, and technologies from the moon facilities will help us here on the planet. So, it's a complicated question because it comes down to how do we define climate change?
Yes, and where? Climate change is not the same in any single area of the planet. I mean, different countries, different soils, different everything. So different living. So we are all interconnected, and we contribute to all the emissions and this global warming, but it's all climate change difference. In Central America is not the same as South America. South America is not the same as Australia or Russia, or it's different everywhere, but we contribute to the global warming, and that's incredible how we are connected. And what you're talking about the moon is how's the atmosphere in the moon? I mean, is there global warming there, or is there something like climate change issues also?
No, there's really not much of an atmosphere around the moon at all. That would be, the problems that we're going to face there are going to be very small meteorites. The moon dust is very corrosive to pretty much anything that it comes in contact with over long periods of time. And so I think the concerns that we have as we start to have outposts in the moon and then eventually Mars and other places, are we going to move away from the idea of res communis, which is basically what the law of the sea is, what that means in Latin is belongs to everyone and no one. So no one can claim any part of space, the moon, the universe, beyond Earth for themselves, for their country. And there are 5, bodies of laws underneath the United Nations Department of Space Affairs, I believe it's called, United Nations Office of Outer Space Affairs. And that's what we have to keep an eye on as we move forward. We can't allow it to turn into.
You're gonna laugh right now, but really, I got emails that I could buy land in the moon and that I could buy land in Mars. Like,
yeah, and it's all you know, to raise funds and to make money. I would never send any money to anything like that at all.
About Mars, right? I mean, did you got that in those emails?
Oh, I see them all the time, and you'll also see a lot of you can send your DNA up on a mission and leave your DNA on Mars.
Oh my God, yeah. I said yes to that. I registered to that. Registered to that just for curiosity. Yes. Well, you see what I'm telling you? I mean, in the moon, there's gravity. How are we going to be living? Like, I don't imagine myself like looking for food in, you know, in an astronaut thing and just like getting in the air and just looking for food and just eating something. Like, it's really weird. But we don't have climate issues there. We don't have like anything's wrong there, but we can now live as free as we live here. So let me understand this. We live in a free atmosphere, totally unclean, totally unclean. But if we go to the moon with gravity, we're gonna be not so free because we have to have astronauts like all the shape in our bodies, but and like clean. I mean, it's so weird, right? And what about Mars? I mean, they say that Mars, I don't know. I'm just asking. They say that Mars is hot. Is that like the red planet or something that you know?
It has very high temperatures on certain parts of the planet during the day and ferociously cold temperatures at night. So it's a very harsh environment. It's not an environment that is natural for human survival, and that's part of the challenge, and that is what forces some of the innovations that we're seeing that could really stand up well and be something that's very beneficial here back on Earth.
So it's a very hot planet without climate issues.
Just because of its very thin lack of atmosphere and the radiation that it is hit with because of that limited atmosphere. Yes, there are very hot temperatures, and there's also very cold. It is a dichotomy for sure, and there are a lot of challenges that we're just not even going to know about until we get there. I mean, when we were, Carrie, talking about Mars One, that was a very aggressive, very controversial and ethically debated program that we were talking about, because these astronauts, the 100 that were selected over 2 years, they were on a one-way trip to set up a base on Mars with no promise of return. The technology didn't exist for them to be able to for certain make it back here. So these were folks that were willing to make that sacrifice for the discovery of science, for the advancement of the technologies that we're talking about, and true explorers, like the first explorers on the tall ships that didn't know that they wouldn't sail off the edge of the Earth if they continued to sail across the ocean. They were going into the unknown, and so it takes a very special kind of person. It takes someone that looks at science and exploration, and many who have very, very deep faith and think that God has called them to this, to take on these types of missions. We will lose many people in trying to expand humanity out into the universe. That is a given.
And what was the objective of that program? I mean, they were going there knowing that they will be dead,
So none of the astronauts knew that they would be dead. And I would say that astronauts tend to be very confident in their own intellect, their own abilities, their own survival instinct. I think all of them understood the possibilities and the dangers, but that was overridden with the idea of a lot of them when I spoke to them um, are very deep in science, in the science world, and some of them are pessimistic about the trajectory that we are on this planet. And so to them, literally, the survival of our species depends upon us being able to find ways to live on other planets or live on this planet should the atmosphere change from what it currently is right now. So in their minds, the sacrifice, the danger, all of that was worth it. And one thing I'll say, I think a lot of us look at astronauts and we think that they are glory hounds, or they must have the really large egos. They want to be the first to everything. They want the world to know who they are. I have not experienced that. I've found many of these very brave men and women, because the Mars 100 was about 50-50. It was about 50% women, 50% men. And
oh my God, women too? Oh my God.
Women too. Yep. And from across the globe, Carrie, from across the globe, out of that 100, I think only 26 were from the United States, and then the rest were from all over. And I've just found them to be deeply committed to bettering mankind, to finding solutions to problems, to figuring out ways to achieve things, and to inspire, and to have little boys and girls that are growing up in this world today where they're constantly bombarded with so much bad news, to actually watch someone that looks like them do something that everyone else says that they can't do, and how that changes someone growing up, and how they look at the world. Those are the astronauts that I got to know.
Yes, and you know what is ironic that I am listening to you is that in Mars, it's like very hot and very low temperatures at the same time. But in a weird way, the planet stays in an equilibrium of what it was created for.
Mm-hmm.
And when God created this earth, he created with that equilibrium, with the sun, with the moon, with the hot temperatures, with the cold temperatures, and the tropical temperatures, and the tropical countries, and everything. And that equilibrium, we just didn't measure that, and we just abuse of everything. So now there's no place where you can say, oh, today's gonna rain, because it will never happen. It's gonna be hot.
Right.
It's incredible. Like, I'm right now living in Argentina, in Buenos Aires, and literally we are in October. It's supposed to be summer, and it's so cold. And it's so sad, because it's like there's no more, oh, climate change. No, that is so cold. I mean, no. I mean, it's facts. If you don't understand that everywhere global warming is affecting us, and it's going worse and worse. And one of the main objectives of this academic congress, from so many guest speakers as your expertise, Joshua, and all the professors and investigators and presidents from enterprises and the Supreme Court and legislators and senators, is that we want to say that we need environmental policies everywhere, because they're the ones executing this. They're the ones saying, yes, you know what? Yes, let's go to Mars, and let's see if we can solve the climate change issues from Mars to here. I'm changing my mind, listen. Okay, so so I mean, those are the ones that are legislating us, and these congresses and these forums is for that, to take the voice and the vote to the audience, and together say, you are executing the law, you are the one in charge, we vote you to do what you need to do, not your personal interest, because you have a daughter, and that daughter, when you're going away, because God takes you off, you're going to have misses, and all the generation of the new generation that you're living without anything, because you wanted a house, a car, or whatever. And it's getting worse. It's getting real worse. And we're having the COP26.
Yes.
And they have to go to Mars. You see? Yeah. In the COP26, we're going to discuss the same things and the IPCC report again. And I mean, where's the action there? Where's the action there? I mean, we are actually to go to Mars. I can understand now that if we can solve something in Earth from going to an atmosphere that is clean and has no human there to abuse of it, maybe we can change it to the origin that it was, you know, like
Yes.
this was perfect. This was a perfect planet, you know, till we abuse it. Because the thing is that we can do a lot of good things, but we abuse of the things, and that is not good. And equilibrium is in everything. So, in a weird way, how does this benefit us?
So space exploration in general?
Yes.
Okay, so first of all, when I listen to you talk about, you know, everyone that's involved in the Congress and their responsibilities, I feel very humble. I am not, you know, I'm not anything beyond like I said, an activist, an entrepreneur, and an adventurist. What the way I look at this is, I live climate change day in and day out. I've lived climate change day in and day out since about the year 2000. And I think one of the things that we can all agree on that are listening and here today is that we've had a lot of days where we're getting bad news and we're losing the conversation than the days that are great and we're winning the conversation. And I agree. I think if our leaders come out of COP26 and we don't have strong, you know,
Action.
strong action with teeth, then I think we should send them all to Mars because
Oh my
it's
God.
reached the point that it's ridiculous. But you know, and I'll just say, let me just read you quickly. There have been thousands of scientific and medical achievements because of space exploration over the years. But I just chose some of the top environmental and sustainability ones just in the last, you know, few years. And so the advancement and the improvement of solar cell advancement for solar panels, water filtration systems, air purification processes, insulation that is now, instead of being used, highly efficient insulation at ISS and on our ship, it's actually being used in homes around the globe. Very low cost, very productive.
Wow, that's
LED.
awesome.
We all know about LED lighting. That comes from the space programs. And then just think about the satellite technology. And you know, one of the things, Carrie, that I'll say about this current space race that has so many people upset, is that while I'm not a fan or a major supporter of Jeff, Elon, or Richard, they are basically the barons of the skies, like the first airline barons were. And what they're doing is maybe centered around a little bit of ego, maybe centered around too much money and not knowing what to do with it. But at the same time, there is ingenuity and innovation happening there that is rapidly decreasing the cost of getting up to space and rapidly increasing the efficiency and reducing the pollution that's caused going through that process of getting to space. And one of the reasons that that's important is because of the satellite technology that has come along in the last 20 years. And some of the important changes that are about to really start to begin with satellite technology is improvements to being able to follow and predict weather patterns. But one that excites me the most is there's AI cameras that monitor wildlife crime, and we're actually catching poachers this way. And we now have animal tracking sensor satellite technology where we can actually keep an eye on the numbers of endangered animals and figure out ways to protect and preserve certain aspects of their territories that will allow survivability in the long term. And as you know, we're in the middle of the sixth great extinction right now. So those are just a couple of examples of the things that just trying to get to the outer atmosphere, just going to the International Space Station, all of those things came from that very sort of low-hanging fruit type of exploration. What's going to happen when we go to the moon and to Mars and we have to live there and we have to figure out how to recycle air? We have to learn how to recycle and use and squeeze out every drop of water of life that we have. What are those systems going to do to help us preserve water on the planet, to clean the air in our homes and in our offices on the planet? That's what excites me. Yes, the exploration, yes, the ability to see and inspire others and show people that we are all capable of doing things that people think that we are not capable of. But the opportunity to really change the game and spend money on solving problems where that money may not have been spent before if it wasn't for the space aspect of these endeavors.
Thank you so much, Joshua, for this amazing table for space exploration and the benefits to the solution of climate change. Thank you so much. We learned a lot. And thank you for every word that you said. I learned a lot. And I know now that it is important. Thank you for your presence here.
Well, thank you so much, Carrie, and thanks everyone for listening.
Muchísimas gracias por estar con nosotros en esta transmisión de este día miércoles 6 de octubre, de este segundo encuentro, triple encuentro histórico de nuestra FIDA, EIDA y Coplada. Muchas gracias por unirse en este día de hoy. Los esperamos mañana por nuestras aplicaciones de Facebook y YouTube de la Liga Mundial de Abogados Ambientalistas Jacqueline Vázquez García. Muchísimas gracias por estar con nosotros. Los esperamos mañana, día 7 de octubre, con todas las mesas que tenemos y muchas más presentaciones.